Okay. So first off, let's start from scratch, right? When we talk about spirituality versus religion. So spirituality is the relationship that you have with the higher source as well as your higher self. That's spirituality. Spirituality is the relationship you have with the higher source, the higher divine source, and connecting it to your higher self, okay? With spirituality and spiritual practices, you could do a variety of things to help build and enhance that higher relationship, that deeper connection. You can do a variety of things, okay? So there is no set practice for people who are spiritual. When someone says I'm spiritual, that means that they do a variety. Okay, there is no set format. They may meditate, they may pray, they may go hiking, and that enhances their relationship with the divine source. They may go for a run, and that enhances their relationship with the divine source. They may feel like cooking helps them connect to the higher source, the divine source. So they can have whatever practice they want and they choose, whatever helps them get to the higher source and connect with their higher self. They are a spiritual person. Religion is a set of practices and morals and values that a group of people adhere to. Is set in stone. If you follow this religion, you do these practices, you follow these morals and values, and that's what that means. Okay, so religion is a set of prescribed practices. It's like a prescription from the doctor. You do this. Sometimes some religions like Islam are more strict, and they'll say you do this, you say this prayer at this time, and before you do this prayer, you have to do this thing. It's a set of practices. It's not as free flowing. Okay, it's a set of practices. That's religion. When we speak about African traditional religions, we're speaking about religions that started, and most of them still continue on the continent to this day, in Africa to this day. Okay? A lot of the major religions, when we talk about the major religions, we are talking about the religions that have spread far and wide and are acceptable well beyond the continent. Okay? So major religions would be like Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism. Those would be like major religions. Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, things like that. One second, y'all. So you have Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, and Christianity, right? Those are the major religions of the world. Those are religions where millions and millions and millions of people practice it, and it's just accepted everywhere you go. Okay? So that's the difference. With African traditional religions, we are talking about like Ifa. We're talking about Dogon. We're talking about the Akan traditional religion. We're speaking about the Sangomas in South Africa. There's a variety of African traditional religions. The thing is, even with African traditional religions, when you look at it, major religions, you said, is that a dog or a wig? It's a dog, baby. It's a dog. It's not a wig, it's a dog. Even with major religions, if you really study major religions and you go back to the source of major religions, most major religions started on the continent as well. I spoke a little bit yesterday about Christianity, right? And Christianity is an African traditional religion. It is. Christianity is an African traditional religion. It's just been changed and transformed. Okay? Christianity is an African traditional religion. It's just been changed and transformed over time. So when we look at most major religions, they go right back to Africa. Most major religions go right back to Africa. They just were changed and transformed over time. Now, I feel like it's important to understand African diaspora traditional religions. Throughout the diaspora, our ancestors, during the transatlantic slave trade, our ancestors were dispersed, right? They were dropped off in different areas of the world. But they did the best they could to hold on to their traditional practices from back home, even after they were banned. And that's where you get like hoodoo. That's where you get Santeria. That's where you get Candomblé in Brazil, right? So when we talk about Santeria, Santeria is popular throughout South America. It's heavy in Cuba, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, right? You have Candomblé, which is African Diaspora Traditional Religion in Brazil. You have Hoodoo, which is native to the Gullah people, right? Gullah Geechee. So if you look at a map of Gullah land, that's along the coast of South Carolina, coastal Georgia, Florida. So the coast of South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida is Gullah Geechee land. A lot of our ancestors were from there, okay? They were in that area heavy, and that's where hoodoo comes from. But of course, hoodoo spread. You have voodoo. Voodoo started in Benin. Voodoo or voodoo started in Benin, okay, in Africa. The ancestors who were taken from Benin were mostly taken, Benin was colonized by the French. They went and conquered Haiti. They colonized Haiti, and they dropped our ancestors off in Haiti, as well as along that Gulf Coast. So the Gulf Coast states, you got like Alabama, Louisiana. So when we talk about like Louisiana voodoo, so you have Haitian voodoo and you have Louisiana voodoo. Louisiana voodoo is similar to hoodoo from the Gullah people. So oftentimes, some people mistake that, and people from like Louisiana and the Gulf Coast will say they practice hoodoo. But they're practicing Louisiana voodoo, because the hoodoo of the Gullah people and Louisiana voodoo, the difference is when we talk about voodoo from Benin, that's the pure African religion. Salam, stop, salam. That's the pure African traditional religion is voodoo in Benin. The French took those ancestors to Haiti and along the Gulf Coast, okay? So now we talk about the difference between voodoo and hoodoo. Benin, pure voodoo. Ancestors get taken to Haiti and the Gulf Coast. They get the French Catholic influence. With ADTRs, African Diaspora Traditional Religion, a lot of them are African traditional religions mixed with different denominations of Christianity, like Catholicism, like Pentecostal, like Baptist, right? They influenced hoodoo and voodoo heavy. So when we talk about the reason, some people who practice Louisiana voodoo or Haitian voodoo, not really Haitian voodoo because they understand, but Louisiana voodoo, sometimes they'll get a little offended because they classify it as hoodoo. But there is a major difference between Louisiana voodoo and hoodoo. Hoodoo is influenced by Pentecostal and Baptist Christianity. Louisiana voodoo is influenced by Catholicism. That's an important difference to note, because when you are understanding the Lawal, who are the deities, right, or the energy powers of voodoo, when you, in African Diaspora Traditional Religion, what happened was our ancestors had to partner Orisha or Lawal. Orisha, if they transferred Ifa, and Lawal, if they transferred voodoo, they had to partner them with angels, patron saints from the major religion, in order to hide what they were really practicing. So, for example, they will pair an Orisha with the angel Gabriel. They'll pair an Orisha with Saint George. They'll pair an Orisha with any saint or angel from Baptist or Pentecostal religion, and that's how they hid them. It's important to note that Louisiana voodoo and Haitian voodoo have Catholic influence because some of their saint pairings are different. So when you buy a candle out the Botanica, and you sometimes will buy a candle and it's dressed with some candles to this day, I did a video on this, some candles to this day are dressed with patron saints. It's important to know if that candle is being used for voodoo purposes or hoodoo purposes, because what it goes back to is that candle being used from the ATR voodoo or the ATR Ifa? The difference between Lawal and Orisha. So it's important to note these differences, okay? Shout out to Lukumi. Yes, just like Lukumi. Santeria, Lukumi, it's the same thing, okay? So when we are talking about African Diaspora Traditional Religions, we have to be careful to note these differences, because noting the differences in the African traditional religions from the diaspora you have to note the religion that they were hidden in, because that impacts the tools you'll pick up. That impacts the saints that you will pair with your Orisha or your Lawal. Okay, so it's important to note those differences.